Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
We're going to call the meeting of the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners to order. Stand for pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Samasco, Commissioner Tamian,
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Here.
Commissioner Riley,
Here.
Commissioner Rushing,
Here.
Commissioner Graytop,
Here.
Chairperson Bowe.
Here. Item number 3, additions, deletions, changes to the agenda.
I would like to move that we make 2 additions to the agenda. One would be the proclamation for the Veteran of the Year for 2013, and the other would be to adjourn to an executive session for the purposes of considering a purchase of property.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Approval of the agenda.
I move the approval of the amended agenda.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of previous meetings.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the amendments to the minutes of the 8/15/2013 Commission meeting, the minutes of the September 19th, 2013 Commission meeting, the minutes of the September 18th, 2013 Joint Board of Commissioners meeting and Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting, and the minutes of the October 3rd, 2013 Standing Committee meetings be approved and filed.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 6, proclamations for the Veteran of the Year.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to move to approve the proclamation recognizing the 2013 Veteran of the Year, Wayne Weaver.
Second.
Okay. Is Wayne in attendance this evening? We'll take that and get that to him, so I can present it to him proper time. Okay. All in favor on the proclamation?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number 7, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve items 7A through 7N on the consent agenda.
Support.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
under our rules of procedure, in order to abstain, a member has to request that the full board grant the right to abstain. And on the consent agenda, item 7F is an agreement with Willow Enterprises, which is a subsidiary of Port Huron Hospital. And item 7G is an agreement with Port Huron Hospital for inmate hospital emergency room service renewal. I'm the secretary of the Port Huron Hospital Board, and I think it's a conflict of interest for me to vote on that, and I request that the commission allow me to abstain.
I would so move.
I support that.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Just discussion, would he be able to vote on the remainder of the consent agenda other than those 2 items?
Yes.
I would move that he would be able to do that.
I support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Howard?
I had a number of requests to put into the consent agenda the information I picked up about the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund grant projects for through 2011. I know a number of commissioners asked for that information, and it's item number M in your consent agenda.
That was the piece that you wrote, read to us previous regarding the Parks and Recs fund.
Right.
Okay. Any other discussion on anything on the consent agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, moving on. Item 8, reports of standing special committees. Mr. Greatop.
I have nothing. Take a pass.
Have nothing?
Pass.
Hands here.
Okay, Carl?
I have nothing this evening.
Steve?
No report.
Okay, I'm going to take a pass too. Citizens wishing to address the board. If any citizens would like to address the board, we've got the cards that you could fill out there. Mr. Bear, Jim Bear, 1620 North Delano in St. Clair, the County Park Road Improvement, Goodles County Park.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies. Before you, as your committee meeting about 2 weeks ago, discussing road improvements around Goodles County Park, specifically to Goodles Road and Castor Road. At that time, I asked for a little bit more time from you to allow County Park to review the project plan and get back to you. It was convenient for us to consider this last week at our regular park meeting, and at that meeting, we did pass a motion recommending to the Board of Commissioners funding from Park in the amount not to exceed $188,407 for improvements of County Park Drive and Castor Road. Those improvements to be planned and completed for 2014. And I just wanted to take a moment tonight and thank you for allowing us that additional time and for me to come back before you tonight. And unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Bill at all? Or Jim? I'm sorry, Bill, you're fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, moving on, item number 8, we've got an update from our Strategic Federal Affairs folks here, Mr. Bullard and Mr. Cook.
Good evening. I'm Bill Bullard from Strategic Federal Affairs, and we do come up for a quarterly legislative luncheon, but we thought we'd address the whole Board of Commissioners, give a Lansing update. Basically, over the summer, Medicaid expansion took all the wind out of every other issue, and basically at the end of August, the Senate, with only 8 Republicans out of 26 joining 12 Democrats, passed the Medicaid expansion, which is going to put over 400,000 poorer income residents of this state into the Medicaid system. There are people under 133% of poverty level. It's going to have a positive impact on the state budget of $200 million plus. Some of that should trickle down to local health departments. And just when we thought that contentious political issue was over, it was determined recently that because that bill was not given immediate effect, it had to bear 20 votes to pass through the Senate, but didn't have the supermajority to be given immediate effect. It won't go into effect until sometime in March, after the legislature adjourns in December, and they put all the money in the budget based upon the assumption that it would be given immediate effect January 1, so there's a shortfall in some of the community health budgets, about $70 million. So they're going to have to go back in a supplemental appropriation bill, and then the issue is, will the people that opposed Medicaid expansion as an expansion of big government choose to vote against an appropriation bill and sort of gum up the works? So that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Senator Pablo is very involved in educational issues, and recently Common Core has been a big issue. But I think there's going to be one big issue that may be addressed this fall. The governor wants it addressed. There's some rumblings that the no-fault auto insurance bill will finally be amended after about 3 or 4 years of debate. This is a bill over in the House that our friend Representative Peter Lund from Macomb County has sponsored, with the governor's support. And a possible deal will probably deal in 3 different areas. One, the bill probably, when it's rewritten and is revealed to the public, limit hospital billings. Number 2, it'll eliminate the MCCA, the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association, and create a new entity, which is called the MCCC. So you're probably going to see on your auto insurance bill then 2 extra fees. The MCCA fee, I think, is up to over $180 per vehicle now. Under this new plan, the people in the that have catastrophic injuries in the MCCA system will stay in that system. But starting January 1, there'll be a new system. This system will be not controlled by the insurance industry like the present MCCA, but it'll be gubernatorial appointees and will be totally transparent. It'll be a public body subject to the Open Meetings Act, to FOIA. That'll eliminate a lot of criticism of that. The insurance companies want this because Michigan-based carriers, for some accounting reason that I don't understand, the MCCA liability is the liability of the individual insurance companies. The MCCC is set up that it will not be on their balance sheets. The third area of reform that'll probably be in the area of family care services, whereby nowadays in the present system, sometimes people are billing 24 hours of care for a family member or loved one. That's going to be reformed to cut costs. What will not be part of the deal is some limit on that up to a certain $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, like a cap on the benefits, because we are the only state in the country that has unlimited medical benefits for catastrophic injuries. If you put a cap on it, basically you're throwing people into a Medicaid system once they're over the cap, and that has a lot of resistance in the legislature. So will this new auto insurance reform save the policyholders money in their monthly, quarterly premiums? Time will tell. One version of the bill that actually is currently on the House floor actually guarantees a cut in insurance rates for a year. After that, the language is silent. So that may be the big legislative issue this fall. Whether it really saves anybody any money in the long run is problematic. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the personal property tax, because the legislature last December, about 3 or 4 a.m. on their last night of session, passed a phase out of the personal property tax. And I've got a handout here I sent to Bill, but in case some of you didn't see it, I'm going to pass it out in a minute. The personal property tax is an issue that's been around for 30 or 40 years. Everybody's in favor of eliminating it, but then since it is a local tax, how do you make up the revenue that local governments lose? And it has such a disparate impact all around the state. It's said that up in Midland, for example, because of Dow Chemical Company, about 70% of their total revenue is from the personal property tax, whereas some rural township in this county or elsewhere basically doesn't have very much personal property tax. So the legislature came up with a scheme, because there's a provision in the Constitution that talks about metropolitan authorities, and so the scheme to reimburse local units of government is twofold. Number one, there's going to be a ballot proposal in August 2014. It was already written into the statute, and if you read I was going to read to you the ballot language, but it's so confusing, I don't think anybody would ever understand it. So the only way people are going to decide whether to vote yes or no next August is to get information, and probably the information is going to come in 30-second TV spots. And the State Chamber of Commerce, the Michigan Manufacturers Association are going to advertise that this is a great thing. that by limiting the personal property tax, actually phasing it out between January 1, 2014 and 2023, that this will lead to economic prosperity in the state, more jobs, more companies coming into the state. And whether you subscribe to that theory or not is going to be a key to how you vote on this proposal. But what they're doing in this proposal is taking a part of the state use tax and dedicating it to what is called metropolitan area councils that are going to then distribute part of that money back to local units of government that have lost the personal property tax. It's a little bit unclear as to how this is going to be done. There's another part of the act also that talks about the ability of local cities and townships to levy an assessment for police and fire as part of an effort to make up for the lost revenue. Under this plan, nobody is going to be reimbursed 100%. So will this proposal be the first battle in the war for the governorship? This is a proposal by the Governor Snyder administration. He's going to be out touting it and asking for a passage of this ballot proposal. Will his opponent oppose it and say Governor Snyder has already given $1 billion of tax cuts to his big business cronies, and this tax cut is not going to help any business creation or job creation in the state, but all it's going to do is take away local police and fire and other local essential services. So that'll be the argument, and we're probably going to see more of that as we get closer to August. I'm going to just take a brief second to pass this out. It's from the State Chamber of Commerce, so it's slanted their way. They're a proponent of phasing out the personal property tax, but the opponents, whoever they are or whatever coalition, haven't really gotten organized yet. Now, one thing about the job we do at the state level, a lot of it is dealing with legislative issues in the legislature, but a lot of what we do involves lobbying administrative agencies within the executive branch of government. For example, we have several clients that have a lot of health care issues, so we do a lot of work with the Michigan Department of Community Health and Jim Haveman, the director. And then just so happens that a few months ago we became aware that St. Clair County Health Department had not received its 2011-2012 Medicaid reimbursement from the state. And I'm happy to report that I think it was last Friday, St. Clair County received an electronic transfer of $761,000 from the state paying for 2011. This is after we had some discussions with Jim Haveman and some of the people at DCH. We're now working on 2012, and more importantly, and this is, I think, a symptom of how state government works sometimes, in the memorandum of understanding that St. Clair County signed with the State Department October a year ago, it talks about a new quarterly payment system for those counties that qualify to be on the quarterly payment system. Well, that was a year ago, and that system has not been set up yet. So, and we don't know how does St. Clair County qualify for a system where there's no criteria. There is no system yet. So we're trying to work with the department to see if they can't set up a quarterly payment system, in which case maybe it would be go to your last year's reimbursement and get a quarter of that every year. So then at the end of the year, you're not getting the whole thing like the present system, but maybe you're plus a few $1,000s or minus, but you've been getting your money regularly throughout the year. So that's what we're currently working on.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure.
Just a comment. I was at the health department meeting today, And the report we got back from the state of Michigan was regarding the 2011 payment. The full cost reimbursement program was $671,417. I hope your figures are
I
right.
think it was 671,000 instead of 761.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I reversed that. I was hoping you'd get another 100,000.
But believe me, they're ecstatic
Yeah.
about getting the money.
Yeah. There's,
Even though it's 2 years late.
yeah, a little bit larger amount due for 2012, but I think the whole key is if we could, we've been talking to some people at DCH, and if we can encourage them to finish this quarterly payment system and then get St. Clair County on that system, that's going to do huge things for your cash flow in the future. So that's an example of some of the work we do in an administrative agency of the executive branch. So I'm going to ask Ron DeCook to come up and then talk a little bit about some transportation issues and a local issue he's working on here. Ron is a former legislative liaison with the Michigan Department of Transportation for 8 years, and some of those relationships that he built up prior to joining MDOT and during MDOT, I think will be of benefit to St. Clair County in the future. Ron?
Could I ask you a question
Yes,
first?
go ahead.
On this ballot proposal, I see that if it fails, in 2012, the law was to remove the personal property taxes to assist in businesses in the state.
Yeah, it'll, basically, the whole of the personal property tax phase-out will be halted if this ballot proposal fails.
Right, if it fails, personal property tax goes right back to where it was before.
Correct. So,
Fairly important. Does this have to be put up for a vote for the people?
yeah. So how the people are going to understand this when, I bet if you took a poll, most people in Michigan, unless they're in a business, they don't know there is a personal property tax. Because individuals don't have a personal property tax, it's only on business. So it's a very complicated thing, which I wanted to just maybe alert you to, and we're going to hear a lot more about it, and we're going to be reporting more as time goes on. There are a couple of Senate bills that are on their way to the governor that are technical changes to the legislation passed in December that are so technical I won't go into here, but that'll be a big issue in the summer of 2014. So I'll answer some more questions, but maybe I'll have Ron come up and then we'll answer some questions together. Ron?
Thanks, Bill. In my area, as Bill mentioned, transportation economic development is one of my primary focuses. The issues that have been kind of dragging on in transportation, as you all know, has been the discussion of how to get more funding into the transportation program through modifying the current penny per gallon fuel tax and the registration fees, which is the value of the car, and it's a rather complicated formula where what you originally pay for the car, the value of the car, is your starting registration fee, and then it goes down by 10% for the next 3 years, and then at that level, then it flattens out, and that's what you pay for the remainder. What the governor has proposed and has been discussed between the legislative leadership, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, the Democratic leader in the House, the Democratic leader in the Senate, has been a proposal to eliminate the sales tax on fuel and eliminate the cents per gallon fuel tax on fuel for transportation, and instead do a percentage similar to what, like the sales tax, a 6%, 8%, whatever. But this would be somewhere around, starting around 6, maybe 7% sales or wholesale tax, as it were, on fuel. So it will change based on the price of fuel. There'll be a system similar to what the sales tax is, where it will be an average of every quarter that has gone by of what the tax will have to be paid by the wholesale, the distributors, which there are about 24 of them in the state of Michigan. It won't be paid by the retailer. And this tax would generate as much or slightly more initially than what the current 19 cents per gallon is. Obviously, over time, as fuel prices go up, that will increase. That will kind of be a built-in inflation factor for transportation funding. And the idea is that this will reduce the need to constantly go back every 4, 5, 6, well, in this case now it's been 16 years, and try to make up for the lost revenue that has occurred as people are driving less, using less fuel because of fuel efficiencies, using transit more, finding other alternative ways of traveling. And so that discussion has been ongoing. The challenge is what to do with the lost revenue from the sales tax. It's about $1.2 billion in lost revenue to both the municipalities in revenue sharing and to the school aid fund. And that's been a very bitter discussion on how to address that. And so far, no one has been able to come up with a solution or a proposal that has gotten the buy-in of either the governor's office or the House or Senate leadership, whether they be Democrat or Republican. So after this has gone on now for about a year, and they'll be going into their second year after the year shortly, what the governor has most recently come out with is just a request to try and get some additional funding into the transportation fund. If you look historically at where we've been over the last 16 years, just in terms of actual dollars collected, not adjusted for inflation, but cities and villages, the state and the counties, are the amount of revenue that they were receiving in actual dollars in 1997, 1998, when the fuel tax was last increased. They are now getting roughly that same or slightly lower amount of actual dollars in 2013. So if you were making $10 an hour in 1997, you're still making $10 an hour now in 2013. So if you were to add in just the factor of inflation on that, you're obviously not able to purchase as much as well below what you used to be able to purchase in 1997 when the fuel tax was last raised. So it's a very big issue. It has caused the state, as a result, in the budget 2 years ago, to transfer $100 million out of the general fund to the Michigan Department of Transportation to match their federal aid. This coming year, or the new fiscal year that we're now in, the state took and because of the extra revenue that was available, they shifted $350 million of that money of extra revenue and put it into a road recovery fund, is what they've called it. Roughly $115 million of that fund will be used to match federal aid again for the department. The other $230 million roughly that will be remaining is going to be distributed on a project-by-project basis for local and state projects across the state. There was a call for projects put out earlier in the year, and counties and cities were asked to submit potential projects that could be funded with this money. What they asked was that the projects had to be shovel ready. They had to be of high commercial value or high economic development value, and that was pretty much the criteria that they set. With $115 million a year for these kinds of projects, that money is not going to go very far. Some communities and counties submitted projects that were, $20 million projects, $10 million projects. They're just, what I think we'll end up seeing are projects that are critical, but they're going to be small projects. There'll be perhaps just simple cases of resurfacing. I don't think we're going to see a lot of rebuilding of anything. I think it's going to be more of a heavy maintenance type approach in order to try to help key sections of local road, for the most part, county and municipal roads, that can get some upgrades to keep them viable and to extend their useful life for another 3 to 5 years. The governor has also requested that because of the lack of an ability to come up with a consensus and an agreement, what he is now asking for is just simply, let's try and find, as I say, some way to put money into the fund. His initial proposal, again, was to simply eliminate the sales, if we could eliminate the sales, or the fuel tax, make that a more of a wholesale tax, percentage tax, and perhaps still keep the sales tax on, but I don't see that having any legs at this point in time. I think we're probably, again, because of the election coming up after the first of the year, we'll be in the election cycle. I don't see any real progress being made. There's just no appetite in the legislature to pass any kind of tax that would increase fuels. There was also a proposal by the governor to increase registration fees by about 20%. That didn't have any legs either. So I'm not sure. Nobody's sure what we're going to be doing until after the next election, if at all. Lame duck. There's always some hope that with people leaving, putting something on that can pass to get some revenue. But and then hoping that the public forgets about that 2 years later when they run for re-election. And for those who are lame duck, term limited out, they're going to be gone. So unless they're running for another office, they're not going to be worried about that. So that's generally the dynamics we face with. I think it's just partly an outcome of having term limits in the state. It has just caused people to keep kicking the can down the road, no pun intended. It also has caused a great deal of difficulties for both the state and I think for locals, whether they be road commissions or municipalities, to have somebody in there that really understands the issue. Because about the time they understand the issue, they're gone, generally speaking, number one. Number two is the frustration, I think, from all of us that would be representing different groups or interest in trying to raise that revenue, get more revenue in the transportation fund. We're going over the same issues every 2 years. Somebody always comes up with a great new idea that we haven't thought about, of being more efficient, of streamlining the program, of putting up signs above bridges on the expressways that advertise and generate money that way, of privatizing the rest areas. We're talking about a $1.4 billion shortfall that we really need to maintain the road system at the state and local level, and you just aren't going to make up that kind of revenue that way. So we'll keep you posted on that, but I would
Got any questions? I don't mean to cut you short.
That's right.
We got a bunch of other.
Oh, okay.
But any questions for these guys at all? No. Bill, you want to wrap something up?
Our partner John Kerr wasn't able to be here tonight, but he's working on a lot of grants and economic development issues. He's working with the health department on some grants. Your drain commissioner has some ideas. He's working on some CGAP grants with Jen Posey and Dave Struck. That's part of the revenue sharing program, the redevelopment of the St. Clair Inn project. I guess the good news in Lansing today is because the federal government shutdown is over, our state legislators will stop getting calls from people saying, go back to work, get the government open again, because a lot of people got confused about what level of government it is. So we're open for any questions. Apologize to Howard for transposing those two numbers, but I just got back from a law office in Troy.
No, I was hoping you were right. And
Yeah,
I was wrong.
I was hoping I was right too. I just gave 7 hours of deposition in a federal court lawsuit, so if I'm not...
I think we have a request in for a $15,000 grant for a navigator for the Affordable Health Care Act that you just mentioned putting in for grants, and it's looking pretty good that we're going to get that.
Yes, I'm aware of that. The Obamacare Federal Affordable Care Act, in my opinion, and the opinion of most knowledgeable people, will either sink or swim between now and December 15th, depending on how many people sign up for it. Millions of people across the country are looking on that website. It's very difficult to get numbers on how many people have signed up. If enough sign up, it may be a success. If not enough sign up, then it may be very problematic. So be glad to answer any other questions about legislative issues or anything else you want to talk about.
Okay, no, we're good. Thank
Okay.
you for coming out.
Okay, great to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move on. Item number B, the Smiths Creek Landfill Stormwater Asset Management Wastewater Grant Presentation. Matt?
Good evening, Commissioners. In your packets, there is a PowerPoint presentation laying out some information about a grant program that is fairly new. As Commissioner Bohm said, the Stormwater Asset Management and Wastewater Program. The acronym is SAW, S-A-W. I sent a memorandum to all the commissioners about a week and a half ago and gave you gentlemen an opportunity to kind of review the information. So I'll run through this and not rehash it completely, but illuminate the information in it a little bit for your benefit. The monies for this program are administered through the state revolving fund, the same pool of money, if you will, that we've obtained low-interest loans for our bioreactor work and the forthcoming expansion. We were final approved for the next phase of SRF funding for the next bioreactor expansion this week, and that was good news. The funds for this particular program, the SAW program, are capped at $2 million per community, and that would be a county, a town, a city, along those lines. So for St. Clair County, there's $2 million available under this program. It's a 10% match for the first million and a 25% match for the second million. And funds are awarded first come, first served. There was a workshop for this program that the DEQ put on last month, and it was attended, the attendance was phenomenal. The DEQ is anticipating getting more than $97 million worth of grant requests on the first day that applications are being accepted. That is December 2nd. First come, first serve is how they're going to handle those applications. What I am proposing is that we apply for three different grants, three elements under this SAW program. The first being something that's fairly straightforward. There is grant money that is available for the design and engineering of our bioreactor expansion project forthcoming. Right now, we have funds for that work provided for under the forthcoming SRF loan, which we'll be receiving next year. And as you know, that's a 50% loan forgiveness. However, there are grant funds available to do this exact work. So I'm proposing that we apply for work, that work there. And it's essentially the plans and specifications for the expansion work, which is the construction of the bioreactor treatment cell 4, for pump station and force main for moving septage and other RDDP components, essentially the injection infrastructure for the new cells that we're going to be working, plus the engineering and operating and monitoring for the RDDP for a 6-year period. I had that presentation to you a few months ago. The second piece that I'm recommending that we apply for, and I think is very important, is the development of an asset management plan for the landfill. An asset management plan is an evaluation of pumps, valves, tanks, system items. This is a wastewater program, so it would apply, in our case, to the leachate pretreatment system, that we own, the facility on site, the force main, and the lagoons, would also apply, we believe, to our septic receiving and injection system that we have. And thirdly, we would like to expand it also to encompass our landfill leachate management system. All the pumps we have around the landfill, our leachate storage tank, that control system. So basically 3 elements that we would like to do an asset management plan for. An asset management plan will inventory and evaluate different components on their condition, determine criticality of different assets and their importance to operation of the system as a whole, and identify those items that simply cannot fail. Develop operation and maintenance strategies. How do we keep things running for a longer period of time? And provide for some long-term capital planning. That's something, frankly, that's missing right now. When something breaks, we replace it or we fix it. We think about what the best path is moving forward to operate things correctly and maintain them, but we don't have an organized plan, and this would be a very good tool. The end result would be a living document that wouldn't be standalone, but as systems expand or get modified, the document itself would be modified. And an important part of this is after an asset management plan would be completed, if that plan would identify modifications to the system or improvements to the system that would take some capital monies to effect, then they're telling us that a SAW loan would be available, low interest loan, to affect those improvements if we decided that's something we wanted to do. So that's a nice benefit. Of course, doing this under the grant, again, provides 90% of a fairly substantial cost to go through this evaluation. So that's the second grant piece. And then the third one is I'm not quite ready to make a recommendation that we go for this, but I wanted to put it out there because it's under evaluation currently. What we're doing right now with our septic injection system, you all know we've got a couple big bladder tanks up on top of the landfill. And one of those tanks is for solids settling. Well, periodically we have to clean the solids out of the bottom of that flexible tank. What we're doing right now to do that is we simply pump off the bottom into an excavated pit in the landfill. Pump that sludge into the pit, wait till it infiltrates, and then we backfill the pit. Now there's cost involved, of course, with digging the pit, backfilling the pit, pumping the sludge out. And frankly, we've been looking for a better way to manage those sludge solids. Every time we do it, it's about 30,000 gallons worth of material, so it's quite substantial. One thing that that's being evaluated, the thing that's being evaluated is potentially to use this sludge material in a pilot system and operate ACUs, anaerobic composting units. Now, what an ACU is simply is a pit or an enclosed structure where we mix an amount of organic material, perhaps yard waste, perhaps food waste, and mix it with the sludge that comes out of our septic storage tank. We cover it, we make it airtight, we mix it, and it acts essentially as a digester. We pull gas off the top. That can go to our gas-to-energy plant potentially, and we let that reactor work for a number of months conceptually until we have a compost created. We wouldn't let it go to the very end when there's no organic benefit, but stop it somewhere short where we have hopefully and potentially a marketable, or if not marketable, certainly usable compost material. Again, the benefits that we could potentially foresee with that are some gas for the gas to electric plant, the compost product that we would be producing, and perhaps some additional revenue from additional waste streams if we're looking for dedicated food waste or yard waste, those types of things. Now, we are meeting with the NDEQ next week on site to discuss this concept with them to determine, one, if it's fundable under the program. Again, These folks work with primarily wastewater utilities. They work with sewers, they work with wastewater treatment plants, things of that nature. So again, we're, as a landfill, are very unique. So we're always throwing new stuff at these folks and trying to convince them that we fall under the program. And so far, we've been quite successful. So we're meeting next week to discuss these concepts with them, including the asset management plan for the landfill, for the leachate management portion, because they may see that as a stretch, and they're a little uncertain to the applicability, but we're going to discuss that with them. So that's kind of where we're at. The estimated project cost for the design engineering, we've already pegged that number at slightly over $100,000. We are in the process of determining what we think the cost to create these asset management plans for the 3 pieces I discussed will be. So I don't have a number for you now. And again, we're also evaluating how much we think it's going to cost to run a pilot ACU program to manage our septic sludge. So that's in works, and it is my intention at the committee meeting in early November to present to you resolutions for your recommendation of approval to the full board later in the month for the grant pieces that I feel we need to pursue. And with that, that's a lot of information without graphics. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Just don't answer today, but once you get the presentation, just noted 2 things. I'm not even sure if compost is legal yet, is it?
If it's legal?
At the landfill to have yard waste?
Well, that's one of the questions. Yard
Okay,
waste,
just find out,
compost,
maybe.
it's a permitting issue. We're going to discuss that with the DEP.
The next one, the odors associated with open pits. Can you give any estimated? Don't answer it now, but when you can, because I know when I drive by Mount Trashmore, I don't know the right name of it, but you go by there on a hot summer day and coming across grass.
But you haven't smelled that at our facility, have you, Commissioner?
So, and then the last one, you have a potential for run-on or overflow, which must be carefully managed.
Yeah.
Will there be a cost involved? Let's say we get a torrential rain that's going to cause an overflow. Just make sure that.
To be quite honest, we're real careful with that. We allow quite a bit of freeboard.
I don't want to
how
hold
we
up the
fit 'em,
meeting, but if you could get the answers to that when you come back.
Okay.
Commissioner Tamian.
In Matt's conclusion, he said that he was planning to bring it back to our full board meeting at the end of November. I don't think we have a full board meeting at the end of November now. We're having the full board meeting.
Yeah, we're doing the one-stop shop. And
Oh, we
Not
are.
until then.
My apologies, I didn't look at the schedule.
But
that
I
closely.
just,
November. We have one
Yeah.
meeting.
but before he left, I wanted to make sure that he was aware
Thank you,
that.
Commissioner.
we're
I
not- have
should have looked at the
both
schedule
meetings.
closer.
Okay.
We keep changing, you gotta look every day.
Any other questions for Matt on this at all? Okay, thanks for the update.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, item number C, the approval of the county disbursements.
At this time, I'd like to move to approve the County of St. Clair disbursements for the month of September 2013 in the amount of $26,974,526.97.
Board?
Questions on this at all? Roll call?
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Chairperson Bo?
Yes. Item number D, the resolution 1325, the apportionment report.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to adopt Resolution 13-25, apportioning taxes for 2013.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving on, item number E, the Department of Human Services Board reappointment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reappoint Barbara Haneke, District 5, to the Department of Human Services Board for a 3-year term expiring 10/31 of 16.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, move on. Item number F, 2013 Emergency Management Grant Agreement.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve the fiscal year 2013 Emergency Management Grant Program Agreement in the amount of $41,381.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, move on. Item number G, the 2014 Community Corrections Contract. I do see Jerry Selmer in attendance, if anyone has questions on this.
This time I would move to approve the community corrections grant in the amount of $305,142 for the period of 10/1 of 13 through 12/30 of 14.
Second?
Any discussion? Jerry, anything you want to say on it at all? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item number H, the 2014 Day Reporting Supervision Contract.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the day reporting supervision agreement with Huron House in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the period of October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2014.
Second?
Discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Chairperson Ball?
Yes. Item number I, the 2014 RSTAT contract.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move the approval of the Residential Cognitive Substance Abuse Treatment Agreement with Catholic Charities of Southeastern Michigan in the amount not to exceed $197,000 for a period of October 1st, 2013 through September 30th, 2014.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Chairperson Ball?
Yes. Item J, the Motorola Maintenance Agreement for the CDA radio consoles.
Chairman, at this time I would move to approve the professional service agreement with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $24,644.88 for a term of 9/1/13 through 8/31/14 for annual maintenance for radio consoles for the dispatch center.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Chairperson Ball?
Yes. Item number K, the Kimball Township easement for the landfill.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move the approval of the easement agreement with Kimball Township for the installation of a forced main.
Support?
Any discussions or questions? We got Matt here too. I know they've been working on this a while out there in Kimball. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number L, the 2013 budget adjustments.
I would move to approve the second amendments to the 2013 general fund budget as presented.
Support.
Discussion on any of the things presented? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item number M, the elevator maintenance and testing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we award a contract for elevator maintenance and testing to Thyssen-Krupp Elevator Americas for a one-year term with 2 optional renewals in the amount of $12,960 per annum.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Chairperson Ball?
Yes. Item number N, the road improvements for the Goodles County Park.
Well, at this time, we do have a resolution, but we had a presentation from Park and Rec that they're ready to move forward with this. So could I make a motion to go forward with this for the improvements of the 3 roads, which we have all got cost analysis on from the St. Clair County Road Commission. And what the Park and Rec is going to fund for these roads is $158,407 not to exceed. There'll be $30,000 coming from Wales, and this has already been approved by the St. Clair County Road Commission from the minutes that if you received them from the St. Clair County Road Commission at their last meeting. So they've approved this also. It'll result in approximately $410,000 total road improvements for the 3 roads out at the county park. So
Second?
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Rushing?
yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian? Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Chairperson Bone.
Yes. Item number O, the one-time employee payment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to adopt Resolution 13-28, allocating revenue sharing payment for employee compensation.
Support.
Bill, Carrie, you guys want to talk a little bit about this?
Well, just real quick, for a couple of years, the board has talked about trying to find a way to make this happen, to demonstrate to employees that you certainly acknowledge the sacrifices that they've made for a number of years. The funding has not been available in the past. This year, because of some additional funds received that from revenue sharing that were unexpected and unbudgeted, the opportunity became available, so a portion of those funds would be used for this purpose. As many of you know, this is an issue that had to be negotiated with all of the bargaining units. Our negotiating team has met with all the bargaining units. The appropriate memorandums of understanding with those units have been signed, and with the adoption of this resolution, that particular change to their contracts, as illustrated in the MOU, will go into effect.
Okay. Just some things I'd like to, I guess, add to, and all of you have the talking points, I guess, on the employee, the payment. Been on the board 9 years. First year on the board, we were arguing over 2 to 3% increases. Ever since then, the discussion's been the whole other way. And, the employees have made a tremendous amount of sacrifices, and trust me, it's perhaps the toughest part of this job as commissioner when you're dealing with that and you have to continue to make cuts. I mean, we obviously have responsibility up here, but the costs that do essentially with additional costs and health care that have been, pushed back onto the employees and no raises and a lot of these other things, I think we would be, when we had this opportunity to show, I guess, some good faith that I support this wholly. And I appreciate employees, elected officials, department heads, and everybody working through this.
This does not extend to commissioners.
No commissioners,
Mention that.
just for the record.
Commissioners don't get it?
No.
No.
Good try, Bill.
Anybody else? Howard, do you want to chime in on this? You've been around here a while.
It isn't just the fact that we haven't been able to give pay raises. We've made substantial changes to their retirement, to their health care benefits, and because of the economic conditions. And hopefully, I was looking at your budget for next year, and it looks like we're getting close to that break-even point where we won't be asking for departments to make substantial cuts next year, that maybe we'll be able to ask them, just hold your budget as is. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that. But the employees have made a lot of sacrifices over the last 5 years. And as Jeff said, we used to give 2% pay raises when we first joined the board. Not happening anymore. So it feels good to be able to give our employees something to at least recognize their efforts.
Okay. No more discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Chairperson Bone.
Yes. Moving on to item number P, Resolution 13-26, to adopt the 80-20 cost-sharing model.
Mr. Chair, I would move the adoption of the Resolution 1326, adopting the 80-20 cost-sharing model as set forth in the Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act number 152 of 2011.
Support?
Discussion.
This just basically brings us into compliance with what the state of Michigan has deemed necessary.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item number Q.
Chairman, I'd like to appoint Patricia Hawkins, alternate to James Fire for Districts 4 and 5 to the Parks and Recreation Commission for the remainder of a 3-year term expiring 12/31/13.
Support.
Okay, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item number R, the presentation of the proposed budget.
Ready, Jeff?
sorry?
This time I would move to receive and file the Administrator Controller 2014 proposed budget general fund, funds receiving general fund appropriation.
Support.
Any questions or comments on this at all, guys? I'd like to chime in and give Mr. Kaufman and Carrie a lot of credit for getting this done. I always tell the story, been here 9 years, and some of these budget battles, boy, I tell you what, a lot of hard feelings, a lot of battles happened in this room, and the process has went extremely smooth. Bill and Carrie, I give you a lot of credit for the credibility that you lend to the organization as far as with the elected officials, department heads, and everybody. I know you've been around here a long time, and people know you and trust you, and when you're going down these paths and doing these budgets, that stuff is so important. And when you first said you were going to do it at the beginning of the year, I was a little skeptical, but you did a great job.
I would like to second what Commissioner Bohm just said. I know how hard you guys worked. In fact, I stayed away for the last couple of weeks. I know you were into it. I didn't call you. I didn't ask for anything because I knew you were hard at it. And I knew if we left you alone, you'd get it done. And it looks like you did an absolutely excellent job. So my thank you for making our jobs a lot easier by getting this done.
Jeff, it's just when you get to points like this in our commission duties, it reminds me that when we brought Bill Kaufman on, he was appointed interim administrator. We never did change that. He was our interim director. I was going to say not bad for an interim director.
Yeah,
but,
it's still
we should
interim.
probably good job.
Think about it.
Mr. Chairman, I got one comment. When I was on 02 and 04, we had budgets where we were still given some miscellaneous raises, et cetera, during that time. It wasn't quite, but I got to give credit to the commission and commissioners and the board and you guys operating budgets the last number of years. I mean, you went through some tough times, and it's starting to make a little hook, and I got to take my hat off to you over the last number of years, what you've done. Is everybody happy with what's been done? Certainly not. But anytime you cut things, people don't exactly like it, and I understand that, but things have to be done. But you've got a tough job. I thought you'd done well over the last few years, even though I'm sure everybody has their own opinions. But this year went a lot smoother, but still, you've done a heck of a job, and I really applaud you for that, as these other commissioners have said.
I feel likewise, and though I'm just recently elected and have had very little to do with all this, I think it really speaks well for our administration to have a regularly balanced budget. We have not dipped into our fund balances. We've maintained our credit rating. There's an article in today's paper about another municipality that is having struggles that way. But we've maintained our credit rating while we've gone through this really tough economic downturn. And it's very important. It's actually the most important thing that we do.
Increased the last 3 years, our credit rating's been actually increased.
It's actually gone up.
And I think when you talk about that, Carl, when you tell that story, I get an opportunity to see a lot of the different industries first look, people that are looking in the area, and we so often tell that financial story of St. Clair County. you know, St. Clair County not only is a good place to do business, but did you know that our county's credit rating's been increased last 3 years, so on and so forth? I just think it speaks volumes about that when people are looking to come locate and do business here. You know, you gotta have your house in order, so.
Well, I think that's a very fair benchmark, because the municipal bond consultants are looking at it from a strictly business point of view. That's not a Republican decision, it's not a Democratic decision. It's a professional opinion about financial stability of our local government and continuing to improve our rating during this, the most severe downturn since the Great Depression. Really speaks well for our staff.
Howard?
I would just like to add to that, from the standpoint of the benefit that we've received. We rebonded the 9-year bond on this place, saved $50,000 a year in bond payment. I mean, that's what good credit will do.
Jail was about 150.
Yeah, 150 on the jail.
You know, Mr. Chairman, the other thing I'd like to add to what I just said is it shows to me that not only the administration and Bill and Carrie, what's been done over the last number of years, but it also shows me the type of employees we have working for us in the county. They took some serious hits over the years, and a lot of companies can say maybe the same thing. That's true. But we got a lot of employees that took some serious hits in a lot of different areas. And we've had different areas, and one of the areas I represent is Road Commission, and I looked at them and the amount of people that they've left. I mean, they're getting their work done efficiently, the attitudes, etc. So I have to say, in general, all our employees that work for the county have really worked with this board over the last tough years, I'm going to say, and so it's a good effort on both sides.
Okay. Enough of that. So did we do a receive and file on the budget?
You need
I
to
moved,
vote.
didn't pass it yet.
Well, yeah, roll call, please, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Samasco?
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian?
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann?
Yes.
Commissioner Riley?
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing?
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop?
Yes.
Chairperson Bone?
Yes, just one last comment on the budget. We will have the budget adoption, or the public hearing will be November 7th.
At 6
So
p.m.
this is just the accepting it. This is not quote unquote passed, so, okay. Item S, the Board of Commissioners meeting schedule revisions.
Chairman, I would move to cancel the November 7th standing committee meetings, the November 14th workshop, and to move the November 21st meeting to November 7th at 6 p.m.
Support. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item number 12, the administrator's report.
First, I want to thank the board for the support they gave this year in developing the budget. As all of you know, it was a tough year, and you know, after you've been cutting as much as has been cut the last 4 or 5 years, and you still have close to $2 million to cut again, it gets tougher and tougher when there's not as much out there to look at. And the other thing, I certainly want to acknowledge the support and the ideas and the creative solutions that we get from the other elected officials, the department heads, and from all of the employees. When you look at some of the things that have been done over the last year to save, you know, 20,000 here and 40,000 there, and a lot of times it's a matter of combining contracts and renegotiating contracts. And tonight you saw on the agenda was a change in our contracts for our maintenance of our elevators. We took a serious look at that, and although it's not a lot of money, you know, a little over $16,000 helps. Every time you can find a little pot here and a little pot there, it helps out. And we get a lot of ideas on things like this from a lot of county employees. And I certainly want to acknowledge all the work that Carrie did in helping to put this together. She is the workhorse when it comes to crunching all the numbers. It would not have been possible at all without her assistance. In the last couple of weeks, with a couple of departments that we really needed to work hard on to close, she was able to step forward through her relationships with some of those staff people and kind of close the deal or seal the deal for us. So thank all of you as well for supporting us. Let me give you a quick update on the convention center. The construction documents themselves are out for review right now. They are not out for bids. They were released last Friday by the architect and the construction manager for all of our project team to look at and make sure that we haven't missed anything, go over any last minute changes, review any conflicts that may exist. Next week, we'll be getting together at the architect's office to go through all of the changes that have been made and make those final decisions. Hopefully by mid-November, the construction documents will be in their final form and we'll be able to put the project out for bid in late November or early December. So we'll keep you updated, give you an update on the 7th and let you know exactly where we're at with those construction documents. Yes, Commissioner.
Which of the renditions that we saw in the paper did you guys select?
Probably none of what you saw in the paper. It looks totally different from what you saw in the paper.
Good.
So at this point, but
That's good.
until the project is completed, many things can change. We are, last meeting I reported a little bit on where we stand with the ballroom renovations, which is something we intend to do yet this year. We're looking right now at those documents being put out on the web-based site that we use for bidding many of our projects, probably next Wednesday or Thursday. Those will be posted and out there. And that, again, is just for the renovations of the ballroom, which is an existing facility, so it's primarily redecorating of that space. The Regional Prosperity Initiative, we've talked a little bit about that in the past. It was brought up.
Bill, if I could, you said that there potentially could be, just so there's no misinterpretation, that there could be many changes, but the one change that is not going to change is the overall cost.
Correct. Yes. You know, just like I'm sure when any of you have built a home.
When you say many changes, you're not taking
I understand.
you're not throwing on the crapper and starting over either.
So there's no misunderstanding.
Sure.
In the words of Forrest Gump, it's kind of like a box of chocolates. I don't know what you're going to get, but it's going to be good.
Well, I have one other question. At one of our previous meetings, you were working on the room block agreement with JB Real Estate. Has that been completed now?
No, it has not, but it is in its final stages. We've completed our changes. Our one of the firms that we're working with, SMG, has completed their reviews and accepted it. It is now in the hands of JB Real Estate, the hotel managers, for them to review. The last we've heard is that they expect to have their review completed by the end of this week. So hopefully I'll be able to report to you on the 7th. If you recall, the completion of and the execution of that document is the one single outstanding item that must be done before the county moves forward with our project. So we will not be bidding the construction of the facility absent signatures on that particular document. That is crucial. That was part of our development agreement from day one, and it is the only outstanding item. So it's very, very important. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, you made quite a point of that before, and I realized that had an impact on our schedule, so I
Yes.
ask about it again. Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's Bill Kruger that's looked at that, right?
Yes,
That's-
yes. Mr. Kruger helped us develop that. Corporation Counsel worked very closely with Mr. Kruger to develop that agreement. The Regional Prosperity Initiative, we talked a little bit about it at our joint meeting with the Planning Commission last month. It continues to evolve. Every time we meet and talk about this, there's a little bit more definition given to what we expect to come of all of this. We really don't think at this point that we'll be moving away from or ending our membership with SEMCOG. The new region, service delivery region that we've been slated to join, is nowhere near in a position to provide the kind of services that we get from SEMCOG. You'll also notice there was a document in your packet today, item 7N from the Workforce Development Board, the Macomb-St. Clair County Workforce Development Board, and they are questioning how those boundaries were established, noting that if what we're looking at is worker development and where our workers go to find jobs, if you look at commuting patterns, it makes a lot more sense for our region, for St. Clair County, to remain within the SEMCOG region. So that's an issue that continues to be discussed, debated, so nothing has been set in stone yet, and as a result, we certainly will not be leaving SEMCOG anytime soon.
I was just going to comment. If you look at where we're positioned with the I-69 corridor, we definitely have a vested interest in that. And then we're also connected to the I-69 to Detroit. So we have that connection too. And so it from my point of view, it makes sense for us to be involved in both of them.
Well, the group that we would be aligned with is a council of government that is out of Genesee County. That council of government is applying for a grant through the governor's office, that funds he's offered to try and explore how do we define and how do we create this new region. So hopefully, if that grant is awarded to Genesee County, the Genesee County COG, we'll be able to spend a little bit more time explaining what is it and what isn't it, because it does make sense in some aspects for us to join with the I-69 corridor, but at the same time, there's a lot of benefit we get from our relationship with SEMCOG and the counties to our south. We did, earlier today, we closed on the purchase of property at the south end of Desmond Landing. The Parks and Rec Commission secured a state grant to purchase some property down at the end of that property. You may recall when you visited and walked the site earlier this year, that area was pointed out to you. It was explained how it would be redeveloped. I certainly want to thank Atchison Ventures for the contribution they made to the county and to the community to make this project happen. They did make a very significant contribution financially to help bring this project about. So we want to extend our thanks to Atchison Ventures for that. Redevelopment and investments in the airport property continue. I've reported to you before some of the maintenance issues we've had to address. All of that work has been completed. The buildings are tight and secured, ready for the winter weather that will be coming upon us. The repairs to the parking lot will be made over the next 30 days. The yellow building that's out there will be connected to water and sewer. It has been powered up. It will be heated over the winter, and we'll be working on renovations on the inside so we can use that down the road. I do want to point out to you that you may have received an invitation from RISA. They are having a 50-year anniversary celebration, and they have scheduled a special legislative lunch for Friday, tomorrow, at RISA. It will begin at 10:45. Lunch will be at 11:45. We do know that some of our federal and state legislators will be there. If you are interested in attending, we'll include lunch as well as tours of the facility, and you'll learn a little bit more about what goes on at RISA. It should all be over with by 1 p.m. If you are interested in attending If you can let me know before you leave, we'll make sure that they're aware that we've got a number of commissioners that will be attending. If you'd like a copy of this before you go, the invitation that explains all the details, I'll see that you get a copy of it before you leave here this evening. That's it.
Questions for Bill? Motion to receive and file the administrator's report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Miscellaneous business, Mr. Graytown.
I would like to take this opportunity right now to thank Holly Setter from the Times Herald. Today is her last meeting with us, and I believe in all honesty that she has done a very fine job of reporting rather accurately things that we talked about here, and I'm going to sorry to see her go, but she is coming on board at the county. She's going to be working with Judge Platzer, is it? She'll be working over with Judge Cindy Platzer, so effective Monday. But Holly, thank you for everything that you've done here for us.
Does she get the employee bonus?
26 next.
You're getting the hiring bonus.
Missed it by a day.
If you're full-time, it's a bit. Getting in under the wire.
Any other miscellaneous business? Receive and file? Then we're going to go into executive session and recess after that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we receive and file the packets that were sent to the commissioners and the packets that are at our places and any other information that was presented this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those
I
opposed?
believe I need to make.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.